Hello and welcome to the SC Playbook podcast, proudly brought to you by Pat and George from Mortgage Choice SCW. I'm your host, Tim Williams. We are here for the final episode of the NRL Supercoach 2023 season. A new champion has been crowned. Here to talk through it with us today is, as always, the Supercoach Spy. Spy, looking as sharp as ever in your Warriors crop top.
SJ crop, mate. What a week. Finals footy's back. I was talking to Matty over there. The best 2 months of the year are March because footy starts, and September because it's spring and finals footy. Does it get much better? No.
It's a wonderful time of year. You get to put the feet up a little bit, enjoy finals footy without the pressures of Supercoach and spring racing on top of it. Just a great time of year. Also with us to chat through it, 2021's sixth placed finisher. She's back, Clementine Cassidy. Clem, you look particularly happy today. Why would that be?
Oh, that might be because I've bet Spy 3 years in a row now, 21, 22 and 2023.
3 years on the trot, Spy. Clem has got you.
I'm actually so filthy. I'm genuinely angry. I was messaging Clem on the weekend, mostly voice messages because I don't deal in writing because I get sick of it. And she's like, geez, you're nervous. I'm like, yeah, said I'd beat you, I'm going to beat you. And it was the Bulldogs. Who they Doggies play? Titans. Sunday. I thought it'd be at 100 all. The Doggies and showed up and they had line speed. I'm like, what is this about? And then it all started when Fafita went out the back play. I'm like, well, this is just the easiest points of all time to get Sunday rolling. My boy Blake Wilson jammed him and tacked him one-on-one. And Clem's writing back. She's like, I actually hope he gets a try for you. I'm like, who is this? And as it turned out, there is a bit of a story to it. Once updates came in Sunday night, I figured out how tight it would have been.
Sunday morning, though,
yes.
the first lot of updates.
That was crazy.
The first update with projections had us drawing for the year.
After 27 rounds with 2 games to go.
31,000 points. Like, that's absurd. Anyway, so we knew it'd be tight. Every point mattered. And basically went through the Doggies Titans match. Blake Wilson scored off a drop ball on the buzzer. I'm like, hello.
Chance.
We're on here. Fafita updated pretty well, and we didn't obviously know updates leading into the Cronulla match, but I had it with 20 minutes to go. I thought I was leading by about probably 10 or 15 points. She had Nico and Mulatalo, and I had Tarpany who'd just come back on. So I'm like, Tarpany probably gets another 30. I'm leading by about 45, game on. Little did I know, I got about 20 points in updates that night from the previous match, so I actually led by about maybe 30. So I felt reasonably confident. Tarpany got on the back of a quick play the ball 5 out with 21 minutes on the clock. I'm like, he's in here. He is in, or he's going to drift across, offload, set something up. He got jammed as well. Next play, kick across field, caught it. Seb Chris tackles old mate, gets sent off, and I called Clem. Said, well done, I'm about to get destroyed. She's like, no, it'll be right. Like,
I was trying to be like really nice.
Nico put on about 70 in that period. Mulatalo scored and she did me by 100.
Don't give Nico a sniff at a 12-man defensive lineup.
Yeah, so the good news is if I would have probably known the updates earlier, I would have been more gutted because I would have been confident and that send-off would have utterly destroyed me. But I think it just it was a nice little cap to the year, I feel, that story.
And then it went to the final game. Like, it literally went to the final game. And I was driving down to Sydney at the time.
So you had it on the radio.
So I had it on the radio. And so obviously, like, I couldn't, like, work out the Supercoach scores or anything. And, like, Spy's, like, calling me, like, giving me Supercoach updates. And it was just so exhilarating that it came down to the last game. And then when he rings me and he's like, that it's over for him now, when Chris got sent off, I'm like, no, it's fine. And you could still come back now. And then when I won, like, I had to pull over. I was that excited. Like, I was just like, oh my God, I've done it again.
Clem, you're sitting there all Sunday going, I'm not losing this spud. There's not a chance.
Well, he's like totally downplaying how anxious he was in those voice messages. I wish I could play them for you. He was so anxious all weekend.
Probably can.
And Spy, mate, to cap off, not that they're the best year for Spy's 17. Your mortal enemy, Socceroo skipper Matty Ryan, he had a pretty impressive year. He's beaten you back-to-back as well.
Went on a tear. So the boys have not responded at the moment, and we'll get to it shortly. I've already done my in-season, in-depth review, and I've already picked my side for next year while it's fresh. I went through every position, wrote it out, wrote my cheapies. It sounds hectic. It sounds like a 4-hour exercise. It wasn't. It was pretty easy to do. And I've penciled in my preferred train-on squad for next year, pending prices. And we'll talk about what I'm going to do, but I'm coming. I'm so fired up.
But can we quickly talk about now what Spy has to do because I won again?
You can.
So at Magic Round next year, Spy is going to be walking down Caxton Street dressed as CJ Parker, red swimsuit, fake boobs, blonde wig. He is going to look perfection.
2 things. One, I'm not a spoil sport, but I never actually agreed to this. Twitter just made it up Saturday night. And I'm like, okay.
Twitter has spoken.
Okay, yep. B, I think you also have to do it.
I'll do it
Sweet.
with you.
Didn't take much convincing.
I'll do anything
Clem
to get you in
before you
there.
got, he was like, I really want to do it with
It
you.
would be kind of fun.
C, Magic Round for me is about full enjoyment, relaxation. So I'm not doing any work to do it. Someone brings me the costume, and I'll do it. That's the rules.
So I won, but basically you won.
I'll see how it pans out. But I'm not going costume hunting when I could be having beers at the Caxton.
Yeah, I'm sure Clem will hate sorting that outfit for you, Spy. So, guys, we will get to what we learned from the season shortly. One of my favourite times of the season, recapping those little things in our awards. But firstly, the overall Supercoach champion 2023, Wayne, the coach of Numbnuts. What are you doing, Spy, you widow?
I'm finding one of the voice messages.
Just
Keep
wait
going.
till the end of the show, mate.
I can't. No, I'm going to play it.
Oh, my God. Wayne Numbnuts is our new Supercoach overall champion. So congratulations to Wayne, who came from a little bit back in that crazy casual final round of Supercoach to get the W, the Supercoach SC Playbook, I should say, unlimited group winner. Glenn, here come the Bears, finished 5th overall. He wins $1,000 as the top-ranked member of that group, and he was also a subscriber, so he gets all the cashola there. Second in that was Colin, coach of Parrot Power 10. Third was Cameron, coach of Span Dickles. Glenn, he was the old statistician, he said, for the North Sydney Bears in the early 90s.
That is one of the great facts.
Yeah.
Good.
So very stoked about that one. So congrats to Glenn and the rest of the winners. On today's show, we'll
Just
be
quickly,
looking... Yep.
butt in. Someone came from 112th to 12th in the last round.
Whoa.
100 spots.
That's what depth does.
good.
Everyone remember that
Yeah.
for future years.
That's
Yeah.
That's
epic.
what depth does to you, Spy. On today's show, we are going to chat about what we learned from Supercoach 2023, all our... Plenty of things to chat about there. I do enjoy doing that at the end of each year. Our Playbook Awards, the Supercoach Team of the Year, the MVP, the biggest flop, most improved, positional awards, all these sorts of things. But firstly, guys, I touched on last week a Supercoach finals game that SC Playbook would be running. So how it is going to work is there's going to be a social media Supercoach game for each game of the finals. I'll be asking everyone to make a selection per game across Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, wherever the post goes out, and you'll have to pick for each game. The post will go out that day pre-game. The highest scoring player and their score from that game, closest to the mark, will win a cash prize. Prize value to be determined. So, for example, this week, Storm Broncos, Friday night, we'll send out a post about lunchtime or whenever, comment on it. Following the game, we'll post the results with all the Supercoach scores on them. I'm praying to God they are put on the Fox website or the DT website. Otherwise, I'll be doing them individually. So, shout out Fox Sports. Please do them for me. No double guesses. We will be checking the scores across all our social pages. We can also see the timestamps. So, if you do it after kick-off, don't bother because it will be found out. We are looking for a partner for that to get on board for the final series. So, this will, when I say the cash prize, that'll dictate how much of the cash prize is coming out. If you can get a partner on, we'll bump that one up a little bit. If you or your business is keen to jump on board as a sponsor, email us on supercoachplaybook@gmail.com. That's Supercoach, all one word. Or just flick us a direct message on our socials.
Couple of questions. If there's a tie, what happens? Split the prize?
If there's a tie, it'll be name out of a hat type job.
I was going to say, that's probably too hard for you. Ignore my next suggestion. You got to pick a second player just as backup.
Spy, I'm meant to be on like half feet up in holidays. There's no meant to be any Supercoach, so don't give me any more work to do.
No, that's right. And are we eligible?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Start my pre-season
Another
early.
thing I can beat you in.
Yeah. As I said, mate, the timestamps are all there, so there'll be no cheating, none of that sort of stuff. So just gives you a bit of a Supercoach flavour to it, and also very little prep for anyone. You sit there, you see the posting, like, this person, this score, done, and you can ride your Supercoach player home.
Sean Johnson, 191.
There you go.
Imagine
We
that.
love that.
Now, guys and girls, let's get stuck into what we learned from the 2023 NRL Supercoach season. The Coomer Stallions, disappointing year overall, I must admit. 4,151st overall. Did have a big jump in the final week and sound like a broken record, but one lesson that I learnt straight away, depth remains king. And this year, I think as much as ever, I'm so gutted at myself that my depth probably wasn't quite as good as it could have been. I wish the Stallions were in a better position to make a late charge. I think going to the final round last year, we were sitting at about 400 or 500. Had it been the same this year, it would have been a very fun last weekend. But I jumped about 2,000 spots because of that depth throughout the year and the planning there. So I think just things like when the person who led Supercoach, he finished in the 20s somewhere. Didn't have a lot of numbers this week. As I said, Spy, old mate, that went from outside the 100 to about 12th. And certainly not alone. A bunch of people struggled with it. So I think the biggest thing when it comes to depth is, everyone knows they hate nothing, but the big one is early in the season, if it costs you an extra 50K to go a bit of a dud who you might save a bit extra cash, you can pay up for someone at that 280, 300K mark. It could be your Charles Nickel-Crockstad or your Jermaine Osaka or someone like that who goes on, and they might not become a keeper by any means, but gee, I think it goes a long way. So Spy, that was reinforcing that depth is so important.
Yeah, like it. Obviously, the last round was pretty chaotic this year, so a lot of things we couldn't do about it and the players. But in saying that, if you did have your 3 trades up your sleeve and a boost, what an advantage. So it might mean you have 9, then you've suddenly got 12, or you might have 13, then you've got 16. Like, you put yourself in the best position.
Yeah, if you had, let's say you
you
had 2 trades, and it's not that depth thing, it's not all about necessarily having trades for late on, very handy, but if you have 2 trades and you buy the 2 high scoring players for the final round, that could be close to a 150-point swing before you've got on anyone else before it even starts. Like this week, I think 2 of the most popular trade-ins were Kohler and Daly Cherry Evans. That was about a 330-point swing.
Massive. Yeah, I'm happy to... for the record, I ended up in the 7,000, so pretty gutsy from the boys, I thought. After a pretty tough year, we got down to 13K, down back into the 7s. This time last week, I had 18 players. I think I ended up with 13. It was every day, every hour, I was like, he's out, this guy's cut, and you're cut. But anyway, not to be. One more Sonny Luke would have been nice. No, you know what? He wouldn't have even mattered, Clem. You still would have beaten me.
I would have had him too, though.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure all the players you had out, I had out as well.
Yeah, funny that.
I was I copied you.
He's been Dustin, he's still making excuses.
I know.
No,
it was just quite funny, like how
excuses.
last week on the potty you were boasting, like about your 17 players.
18, actually.
18.
Spy, mate, we can go through them one by one. Things that we sort of learnt this season. I've got a few jotted down as well. What do you come up with, mate? What's the first on your list?
I'll back what you said. I went pretty aggressive early in the season this year with trades and boosts. I still feel like that can be effective, but it didn't really pay off this year. So it's a question next year of just reassessing that and deciding, is it worth doing those sort of things?
Because there wasn't too much late season damage last year, that strategy paid off this season because it proved a little bit.
Yeah, look, like I would have liked to make a couple of moves late. I did have 2 trades in hand, but I wasn't able to do anything for about a month. So
I did plenty wrong, Spy, but did some good stuff as well. Stand by it as well. That 3rd boost for post-Origin, I think it's so important.
Be handy to have, yeah.
Just allows you to get your team back in order so much quicker though than anyone else.
Yeah, I think I'll probably put a little bit extra value on trades next year and probably just make that call of, I'm trading this guy out for this guy. What am I achieving from it? Is it something I feel like I have to do, or is it just because the crowd's doing it? I do feel like I maybe followed the crowd a little bit too much this year. One of my things I noticed when I did review was that because life was busy. I was so busy. I didn't really get a chance to sit down and go through a few different scenarios this year and figure out what other options there were.
So 20 hours a week instead of the usual 40.
I did like it probably one a week. Yeah. So what I'd like to do is go through those scenarios and go option A, B, C. Or what I was doing this year was just going, yep, I'm happy with this guy. Let's do it, but I wouldn't go deeper, which is fine. That's what happens with life. But next year, I'm going to set aside some time on
Wife, children, sorry, but I will be missing.
Soz. I'm thinking what I really want to do, and this is when I think I'm at my best, is Sunday or Monday night. That's when I do my prep. So the round finishes. I then go through the scores and the players, write down who I ideally want as must-haves or wants before prices change, before anything, and before the noise starts happening. It's so like if you come on a podcast or you read socials, you get ideas and like, I don't know if I want to do this.
Yeah.
And what I was finding, I was then getting stubborn. I'm like, maybe I won't do that because I don't know if I want to do it before. I can come in on a Tuesday clear-headed, knowing what I want to do, obviously backing myself. We spoke about that earlier in the year a couple of times with Hines in round 4. I didn't. I was going to back myself in. Happy days. If it goes wrong, it goes wrong. But then if I come in with a clear head and you mention something, I can then say, yep, I can reassess that because I know exactly what I wanted to do and is there a reason to change it? So that's my big one.
Or it might confirm something. You have a thought of a Sunday night and you jot it down. You hear it again from, podcasters or people in the Supercoach community. Yep, definitely. Or people give you new ideas. But as you said, it's first and foremost, you're backing yourself. Clem, what's the first one on your list?
So I finished in the 6,000s. So that was good. Like that last round was epic for me, and having that one trade, what you were saying about saving the trades, that really, really helped as well. So that was great. But the first on my list is I need a forward plan better. So especially for those major buy rounds, I literally made my buy planning on 5 little yellow post-it notes. Like, I'm not even kidding. And that's kind of what I do. Like, I'm kind of like a bit of like an on-the-whim person. But I think you needed to really forward plan and look at what was like going to happen because I came completely unstuck in the buy rounds.
Even 3 weeks is probably okay. Which is like 6 trades worth. You look 3 weeks ahead, you can just get a bit of an idea of how your current trades impact your next ones.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I had one note on there saying only the Cowboys on a buy. No trades this week, bro. We're sweet as. Yeah. So, like, if I had looked ahead, then that would have probably been a lot better for me.
Yeah, top of my list was... Again, it caught me out a few times. At one, I did get right at one point, but it's just never be too proud to swallow your pride if a player gets away on you. And I learnt this one with Kalen Ponga this season. Shout out to Ads DeRusi, who sort of steered me into it and told me to stop being stubborn. And basically, when he'd cruelled me for a long period there when a lot of other people jumped on, I paid over $1 million for him. I think in the past, and at stages this season with other players, someone like maybe Greg Margie, I'd just gone, nah, they've got away from me, I'm not paying that. If I didn't get Kalen Ponga in for over $1 million, like I would have been a mile further down the rankings. So if a player is going that good, particularly if they've got runs on the board in the past and it's not a fluke run, you just stomach it and go, you know what, I need to be on board this player.
Yeah, I've got stubborn written down here a couple of times. I was a bit better at doing it this year, but I found even when I jumped on Sarko late, it was just so nice owning him for a while there and just not going into the week and he just kills you.
Yeah.
Same with Ponga. There's a few guys this year. I think next year the challenge will be adapting really quickly. It's the NRL now is so unpredictable. The swings and the momentum, the form
lines of teams
is so hard to predict.
How quickly the Bunnies went downhill, how chop and changey the Sharks were.
So this is what I'm thinking around that. Just combined with the bye, don't overstack teams at all. Just be ready to be versatile and flick. This year this actually killed me. My whole season started, the first month was my dagger. I started with 5 Roosters and they were horrible. Yeah. I captained Teddy the first few weeks. He got 55 both times. So there's no momentum there. And then I could have swung that momentum by getting Hines round 4. Didn't. I got Harry Grant, who I preached I didn't want. Again, didn't back myself. Yeah. So that could have been everything. But I then had to figure out how to get rid of my Roosters when I wanted to make other trades. And so I think not overstack, but be ready to pull in guys from a side if you're like, yep, they're killing it. I'm happy to jump on board.
The Sharks played the third major buy-end, I believe, and I overinvested in them a little bit. And when they did go on a they picked up a little bit late in the season, but they had that form slump sort of post-Origin, I believe it was, and that hurt me a little bit having too many of them. The Bunnies as well. Not that these blokes killed me too much. Like Cam Murray was actually one of my best trades of the year, but like Latrell was okay, but there were some other fullbacks going bonkers at the same time. Cody Walker didn't deliver. Alex Johnston, again, was actually okay for me. I sold him at a good time, but just probably went a little bit too hard on Bunnies, who their form fell off the face of the earth. Spy, next on your list.
What's next? Bring up the triple X's. My phone keeps closing every 30 seconds. Can anyone fix that for me?
Ken.
Unbelievable.
Post-show.
Next one would be, try to predict who starts well. Don't be stubborn. Sunday night plan. Back the chooks.
Beat Clem.
What I want to do, I don't need to write that.
Beat Clem, perform miracles.
Do you want me to walk out? It is picking. I mean, you do this anyway, but I want to have a base of guys next year, I think, who I'm just never going to trade. We can do that anyway, but like, I messed around with Harry Grant this year. I ended up dropping him, and it worked out pretty well. He actually dropped 200k. Same with Cam Murray. He's made some good calls this year, but I didn't then bring in the guys to benefit from that. So I think someone like Harry, I'm probably just going to look just to get him from round one.
I held him all season.
Not have to deal with that. Even though he averaged 73, it didn't hurt me, but it means I can just have him sitting there, Harry as an example, and then build your side around those guys and be able to flick and do whatnot rather than going, I might have to get Harry back or Nico, whoever it may be.
Even like for Feeder and Harry, you might go, all right, there might be rest over the Origin period or fewer minutes, but is it worth it for 2 trades in and out?
Yeah, and if you're already there, you're starting from the start of the year. I've got, I think I mentioned before, I've already picked the side I hope to have. And if you ask me in a few minutes, I'll get it up and I'll tell you the guys I want to lock it around. But I think Harry was definitely one, just in that tough position. I think it's not what he scores, it's more you just don't have to worry about it. You can then deal with other issues as you go. So I'll probably be a little bit less stubborn there and not get too creative. What I do try to do in Supercoach is come up with ideas to get an advantage on the rest and then reassess. But I think if you've got your base of guys set there, then you can get creative around that maybe.
Yeah. Clem, what's next?
Right, next for me was to jump on players when they're on their hot streak and not wait, because I did that last year as well, and that was the one thing that I said I'd change last year, and I obviously didn't change it because here I am again with the same problem. So one that sticks out for me is Buller. So everybody was like jumping on him, he's on a hot streak, and I was like, oh, I'm just going to wait, and then I was like, oh my God, I need this player. And so I jumped on him when everybody else was jumping off him, and so I got 47 by 27 cash drop 16. When everyone else was trading them out. So that would definitely be my worst trade of the year, 100%. But yeah, so next year I'm definitely going to just be a bit quicker at jumping on players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My last sort of main one that I jotted down was just not Spy being too cautious around potential injuries. I think Kalen Pong was a big one here. I am Kalen Pong's biggest NRL fan, his biggest Supercoach fan. His concussion history, I just couldn't touch him. And that's why I'm just like, I was waiting for him to get a head knock and go off, and then we'd seen it a million times before. Absolutely killed me. Now, there's a lot of luck involved in these sort of things, but even if it is a person with a history of doing hammies or got shoulder problems or whatever, at the end of the day, I think as tough as these blokes are, if they're not good to go, they probably won't be playing for their club. They back them to get through it, and they play them, and they should be good. Sure, sometimes there might be re-injury occurring, but there's just a few times that I let go and held off players. So I'm like, just that injury chance. Just going, you know what? Back them in.
Yeah, it's a good call. And I think it's the upside guys like Ponga.
Particularly
you know what? He
fair.
can score 180, so let's just get him in and see what happens.
He might go, well, he did this year, minus injury. He might go 150, and then he might get a head knock and play 10 minutes. He might have captained him, but he's got that many points in the process. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and if you're really worried about him, get him in, or get someone in like that. Don't captain him. So meet in the middle. Another
one there is Nico Hines early in the season when he was coming back from injury and people jumped on. Some people didn't. I didn't. I thought he was coming back from that calf, hammy or calf or something. I just mean he's got to take time to build into it. No.
Yep. If he's named, just assume they're good to go. Yeah, for sure. I do think Kalen's the exception. I still don't think it made sense to buy him early in the year, and he got knocked out, I think, round 2. But the guys and girls that then took the punt after he'd strung a couple of games together and went, you know what, let's just have a crack.
Yeah, not saying it doesn't have to be first game, but even like 3-4 weeks in.
Got through 280 minutes. Let's see how we go. But he was probably a very unique scenario. But I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
If you got someone that you think could be good, you know what, blokes get injured, just go with it. That's why we've got trades there, isn't it? I guess.
Spy, anything else on your list, mate?
Can't open my phone anymore, so I've given up. No, that was about it.
Clem, anything else on yours?
Oh, I just had like how good it was to have trades at the end of the season. Like having that one trade was epic, but having like 2 or 3
just
would have been
exclamation mark trades, late trades roll.
Just trades are great.
I've got my base guys, my base starters for next year. Harry Grant, Fafita, Cleary, Dylan Brown, and Ponga. So it's 5 guys I want in. Obviously, it all depends on what they're worth.
Yeah.
But they're the guys I'd like to start with in the positions. I looked at 5'8", by the way. No idea who we're all going to pick at 5'8" next year.
Just KP won't be dual.
Yeah, it is so short.
Would have made my life a lot easier this year if he wasn't dual this year, but here we are.
I'm just copying down all those players so I can bring them in next year.
I just read out 5 random dudes that don't play in the NRL. Clem's like, beautiful.
Beautiful, these are my
Figure out
players
who
for
these
next year.
blokes are. Must be under
Blake
20s
Austin,
guys.
5'8", done.
Sam Williams, skipper. Aiden Caesar. Oh, he's back. He's back. Captain Aiden Caesar, round 1 next year.
Guys, Paddy and George from Mortgage Choice SCW. A big thank you to those legends for their support throughout the season. Obviously, it allows us to put a bit of cash back into the podcast, into the website, make sure we are improving, getting better and better every year to give you better content. They've been able to help out with a bunch of things this season for the SC Playbook listeners, and heaps of people have reached out. Anything from wedding or honeymoon financing, handling your mortgage if you're trying to get into the housing market, sorting your interest rates, your short-term loans, all sorts of different things. Just because the podcast is wrapping up for the NRL season doesn't mean you can't reach out to them. So if any time between now or the end of the year, even in the future down the track, I'm sure they'll look after you. Make sure you do mention SC Playbook when you do. It'll save you $129 on a free consult. To do that, flick them a message on Instagram, @andgeorge_SCW, or give them a buzz on 02 9521 1611. Now, let's get stuck into our awards for the 2023 NRL Supercoach season.
I got one more thing. I'm not going to talk to Clem about footy next year. I'll have a beer with you. I'll watch games. No comments.
No footy talk.
You're
I'm
really
assuming-
dirty on this one, aren't you?
You haven't known me for that long. I'm a little bit competitive.
I'm assuming no footy conversation with Matty Ryan anymore either. Or that had already stopped this year.
That was the last 6 weeks. I'd already started that. And he was pretty good to his credit.
Yeah.
The funniest thing is I'm so uncompetitive. Like, I just
gathered
felt
when
really
you're like, I
chill
hope he
about
scores
it.
to make it a good finish.
Now, criteria for the awards, the positional awards in particular, pretty loose, just kind of a bit of a fun with. We'll all put in our vote for each position to come up with a team of the year. We'll, based on things like average, how many games were played, reliability, were they out late in the season? Did they have restings over the origin period? Did they have injury periods, etc., etc.? We'll go by Supercoach position, so dual counts, someone like Kalen Ponga will be 5'8" and fullback. I'll also be sending these out across the SC Playbook social channels. Next week, we'll put together a fan vote team of the year, as we do every year on the SC Playbook website. We'll start with fullback. Now, 5 key nominations that stood out to me here. Scott Drinkwater, 83-point average, played 21 games. Tommy Trbojevic, you look back and just think, injury, started slow down here. Well, Tommy Turbo averaged 82 points per game in 11 games. Reece Walsh, 80 points per game in 19 games. Clint Gutherson, 79-point average in 23 games. Latrell Mitchell, 77 points in 16 games. Latrell, it also feels like he had a down year. So what have we got there? 6 points separating them. Spy, I'll start with you. Who gets the nod for you?
Drinky gets the nod. It's hard for me not to give Drinky the nod, given how much I bloody love the bloke. But Clint Gutherson, a very close second. What a year for Clint. He's awesome. But Scotty D with the win.
Clem, of those 5, who do you like?
Well, I gave it to Reece Walsh just because he's so sparky to watch and he's so fun. And like he gave me a 22-point captaincy, but at the same time, that judiciary was popcorn-worthy drama to watch. So he just gave us such a ride that I decided he's my fullback of the year. And then runner-up, Drinky, definitely. I wish I had him in my team when he went on tier. Like, just so good.
I literally thought you were going to say Reece Walsh because he's so sexy.
No,
which is probably another valid reason. Yeah.
Also in the criteria.
Sparky, so good to watch.
He is.
So I'm going to go with Clint Gutherson on the basis that played 2 more games than Drinkwater, played a fair few more games than anyone else there. His consistency was incredible. And across that Origin period, did he cover all 3 of the major Origin weeks? I know Parramatta did.
He did, but I didn't want to take away from Drinky just because of his schedule. It's a bit rough, but yes, he did.
It all comes into it. It all comes into it. Like, to me, I'm going, well, Clint Gutherson helped own us through 3 major bye weeks. So Clint Gutherson, for me, hey, Matty, we might throw to you for the tiebreaker because we are split. So the 5 fullbacks, Matty, Drinkwater, Trebojevic, Walsh, Gutherson, Latrell. I have gone with Gutho. Clem's gone with Reece Walsh. Spice got Drinkwater. Who have you got?
Yeah, I'll probably stick with Spy here and go with Drinkwater for 2 reasons.
Thanks,
One, in my team, I actually got him at a really good time and managed to hold on to him for the back end of the year, which was good for me. But second of all, people seem to forget Drinkwater got suspended for a shoulder charge at the start of the year for 3 games. He came back and the 2 or 3 weeks that he played were a bit of a disaster. And it actually, to me, it looks like he was kind of hesitating. It looked like he was scared of contact, which is weird because he came back from a suspension on injury. And I was wondering what the hell is going on with Drinkwater. Then out of nowhere, bang, he flicked a switch. And if he didn't get so suspended, I know there's a lot of contenders. He could get Dalian fullback of the year.
Yeah.
He'd be right up there. So he was absolutely amazing. I don't know what happened in that start of the year, but yeah, Drinkwater for me.
Scott Drinkwater, fullback of the year. And on that, he had them 2 games early on that Matty mentioned. He also had that 2 or 3 point stinker real early on in the year. No one really owned him then. He had that suspension period, the slow return back. So people that did jump on, what a massive move that was this season. They got a lot more than their 83-point average.
He averaged 61 heading into the first round 13 bye.
There you go.
Wow.
Yeah. So, Scotty Drinkwater, congratulations. Centre wing, now pretty hot field here. Greg Marju, 77-point average in 20 games. Jermaine Osako, 77 in 24 games. 77 Osako? Why do I feel like that was 73? Anyway, I'll check that in a minute. Dane Gagai, 72 points per game in 20 games. 3 tries all season, Dane Gagai.
Whoa.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
Val Holmes, 72 points per game in 18 games. Ruben Garrick, 71 points in 21 games. Brian To'o, 71 in 20. Dallin Buttigieg-Lesniak, 70.5 in 17. Campbell Graham, 69 in 21. Now, the last 6 blokes I mentioned there are all within 3 points of each other. Marju and Osako a little bit higher up on 77. Spy, I'll go to you, mate.
Yeah, Osako. He was unbelievable. Such credit
77.
to him this year.
It was 77.
Consistent. Did it from the get-go. I'd nearly say Greggy Marju, but he missed the bus one week. Azarko didn't. So there's your criteria split.
Clem?
Yep, I agree 100%. I've given it to Asako as well. He just scored so many tries and just amazing. If Tapade had passed him the ball, he would have scored some more. Totally got it on Asako, with my runner-up being Marzu. And I also said if he didn't miss the bus, that average would have been higher.
Yeah, got to be Jermaine Osako. And just the fact that he's done in the Dolphins team that finished 13th or 14th or something. No one gave them a chance this season to do that on the end of a backline there. Holy moly. So Jermaine Osako is the champion there.
I think as well, go speak to someone who's never watched a game of rugby league and ask, who do you think? And they'll look at the stat sheet, who scored the most tries and who scored the most goals. Simple as that.
Jermaine Osako. Unbelievable year. At 5'8", Kalen Ponga, 87-point average in 18 games. Dylan Brown, 76.5 in 17 games. Cam Munster, 71 in 19 games. Same every year, Cam Munster, between 70 and 75. Unbelievable. Cody Walker, 69 in 22 games. Pretty hard to go past Kalen Ponga in this one.
Yeah, Dylan Brown, awesome. Obviously, we know what happened with him, so he surely disqualified. And KP, he he was the season winner, wasn't he?
Yep.
If you didn't have him at the right time, you probably didn't win Supercoach or go that well.
Clem?
Yep, agree. As simple as that. KP, 100%.
At halfback, this is a good one. Nicho Hines, 95 points per game in 20 games. Nathan Cleary, 89 in 19 games. Sean Johnson, 78 in 23 games. Daly Cherevin, 77 in 22 games. Spy, I'll start with you.
Sean Johnson. If this is an official awards show, you have to give it to Hines. Came out of the blocks. Again, an absolute game changer. Just quietly, how consistent's Cleary? Another 89. But yeah, if there's any award and Sean Johnson's up for grabs, he gets my vote.
Clem?
I had a tie. So I went for Hines just because, like, obviously those points, like that 95 average. And I also tied it with SJ because, like, what a vintage performance. Like, amazing. And, like, he's helped the Warriors to finals. So definitely a tie for me.
Yeah, I'm going Nicho Hines. I mean, he averaged 6 points clear of the rest. And I think Nicho Hines sealed that in round 27 in a week where owners... He lost a massive point by missing round 26, injured, in another key week for people. Like I and a bunch of others had to sell. It didn't have to sell him, chose to sell him for Daly Cherry Evans. But finishing with a bang with that big ton, coming back, the final game of the round, probably a captaincy option for a lot of people out there. 6 points clear of Cleary. I think we'd add Nicho.
That just reminded me of something. Points to learn from. I'm not sure I had the best skipper options available to me to start this year. So critical to be able to lock someone in who you can rely on to go big or as a floor of like 80. Captains are so important. Got to start well.
I won't humour you what you learn and what you've got to do because captains are a freaking lottery every year. You get some right, you get some wrong.
Oh, what I meant though was I think I started the year and Teddy was my best option.
Yeah.
Maybe we were short on options to start the year. I can't remember back that far, but like if you can lock in that's the reason you can lock in one of these guns because they just are so damn good and can score so high.
Second row forward, look, I think Dave Fafita is going to walk this one in at 81.5 points per game. Let's do a runner-up for this position. Jermaine Hopgood, 73 points per game. Britton Nickera, 70 points per game. Isaiah Yeo, 69 points per game. He was just off the best of them. I felt like no one owned him all year, probably because of the origin period and fear of late restings, but just every year.
That is very good from Isaiah. I'll go against the grain here. Many will go Hopgood, and rightly so. Britton Nickera. So fun to own. He upped his work rate, the lines he runs, and how often he looks like scoring a try. Pleasure to own. I'll give him runner-up on that alone.
Britton Nickera. Clem?
I'm going Hopgood for my runner-up, definitely. I just think like he was so cheap and like he's such a cheapie and like imagine if you like jumped on and off and on and off at the right times. Like so many points in him, like made so much cash.
You know, with Nickera though, everyone owned Hopgood. So if you were able to get on Nickera at the right time, boom.
Fair. Obviously plenty of bias going into these because if a player suited your team, you're going to get a big notch for approval there.
The players don't actually get these awards, so I don't mind going a bit rogue here and there.
Yeah, Hopgood gets the runner-up for me behind, obviously, Dave Fafita. Fafita, who just a freaking incredible year from Big Fifi. Front row forward of the year, Tino Malawi, 77.5 points per game in 19 games. Payne Haas, 73.5 in 20 games. Adam Fanua-Blake, 72.5 in 23 games. Tohu Harris, 66.6 in 20 games. Spy, I'll start with you.
Tino, and I want to start with Tino next year. Hope I can fit him in. What a gun.
Clem?
I'm going AFB. Like, I absolutely love watching him in 23 games he played. So, like, definitely going AFB.
I'm going AFB as well. I didn't own him all year, but look, he was 5 less than Tino, but he played 4 more games, Spy.
True.
And again, origin period. He had origin coverage with the Warriors draw through there.
Yep.
Has to be better. Well, not has to be better, but...
Who would I rather have owned? Yeah, AFB on that in terms of just total value.
Fanua-Blake gets the nod. That is huge from him, but I'm with you, Spy. Next season, round 1, Tino Malawi.
Yep. You can have your Payne Haas.
Yeah. At hooker, another standout winner here, guys. Harry Grant, 73.5 points per game. Had him all season and absolutely stoked with that. Let's go runner-up. Damien Cook, 65 points per game. Jeremy Marshall-King, 65 points per game in 15 games. Cody Nikorima, 58 points per game. dual 5'8" hooker status. In his first 2 games of the year, he had 48 points in 42 minutes, then 0 points in 3 minutes off the bench. So stats skewed a little bit. He's right up there.
I'll tell you what, 15 games is the only reason I don't have him as my winner. Like, if I started with Aaron this year in the hooking department, it would have been JMK. If I got to choose, it would have been super cheap. You could have plugged in so many guns around him. And obviously, once he got hurt, we kind of knew, so you could have sold him on. So I'm gonna give him my winner, based on what he did.
Ahead of Harry Grant?
Not total game. Well, man, it's a pretty broad category, isn't it? We don't really have a criteria.
Who's the best?
If you held...
This is the team of the year, mate.
If you held JMK until when he did his shoulder, that game, they missed a game and sold him.
But then he'd they said, I'll be back next week, and then he'd miss one, and then some people held, then he came back for a game, got injured, was gone for a game.
2024 Spy would have cut him. Ruthless. You were going to say Harry anyway, so he'll
Clem, who's your number one then? If Harry's not a standout in Spy's eyes, who's your number one?
Oh, Harry Grant. Like,
Spies
he's
lost
like
the
head and shoulders above the others. But definitely JMK is my runner-up, 100%. Like,
So
if he'd played more games.
Harry lost about 200k. Sorry to cut him. Keep going. Harry lost about 200k. JMK made about 200k. The best way to win Supercoach this year would have been starting with JMK. That's all I'm saying.
What about Sonny Luke?
Oh,
He deserves an honourable mention.
Sonny Luke. Oh, jeez.
Poor Sonny. He's actually so fun to watch when he's on, but yeah.
Not if you own anyone else in the Penrith team because he doesn't pass it.
Loves the scoot.
All right, cheapie of the year. I've gone sub 300k here. Now, look, Jermaine Hopgood's going to be the standout one here across the course of the season. I'll throw a few things in there. One that I got right earlier on. He had a few low scores around 7, 8, 9-ish. And a heap of people sold off before that buy period. So he might have cost people a few trades to get him out and then back in. Started at 298k. Now we're taking obviously price into consideration. He averaged 73 points per game. Low score of 41. He scored under 60 once from round 9 onwards and had 3 tons. Bryce Cartwright started at 234k. Averaged 62 points per game. He ended on 669k. Jacob Preston started at 200k. 60 point per game average. Rock solid all year. An interesting one here. Jareem Buller. Clem, I know what you'll say, but Dream Buller for most people out there, he started at 200k. He finished with a 57-point average, but he topped at 711k. He had 511k in price rises starting at bottom dollar. He had a 76-point average after 7 games, so most people sort of cashed him in near enough that 700k mark. Spy, who's your cheapie of the year?
On the exact same logic as JMK, I think Jareem Buller. If you got him at bargain basement and sold him around 700k with an average of $1 billion, how good?
Bit of bike coverage too,
Yeah,
or
bit of
origin
buy
period coverage, I should say.
Like, I think, sure, Hopgood for the season, of course, in total and that. But if you bought and sell at the right time, Buller, unbelievable.
Clem?
Well, I've kind of got 2, so definitely Hopgood. Like, I think he was the cheapie of the year, just amazing. But then also honourable mention to the Cardi Party. Like, he just kept going. He was amazing. So much stamina, which is what you want in a player. Just when you thought he was done, like, he'd take you on like a Euro trip bender. Like, he'd pop up at a bar in the Greek islands, like, getting vodka poured down his throat. Like,
and he'd go big.
He would go big. Like, I reckon he can be my cheapie of the year. Just for the ride he took him run on.
Right.
Yeah.
He didn't take me on it. I avoided him all year.
I think he did 4 Kentucky tours this season alone.
Body shots. He was like
loose.
naked dancing in someone's kitchen while the birds were chirping.
Fair play to him.
What a party.
Yeah. Look, I find it hard to go past Hopgood. He was particularly good to my side. I held him all the way through till about round 20 odd and sold him for Cam Murray, backed about 200k. That was one of my best moves of the year and didn't trade him early on. So have to go with Hopgood, but Jareem Buller, for anyone that exactly nailed, for anyone that got him from 200k and sold him at 700k, there weren't many who would have got the double, but one of the all-time moves for 500k in rise. Most improved player of the year, Jermaine Asako. Started the year at 383k, finished the year at 354k, averaging 77, a low score of 35. His only score under 44. He had 7 tons. In the 4 years prior, he averaged 36, 56, 39, 45. Sean Johnson, 78 points per game. 2 years prior, averaged 43 and 53. Dallin Watenius-Lesniak, 70 points per game. 4 years prior, averaged 42, 53, 40, 36. Charles Nickel-Cookstad, started at 327k, averaged 67 by the end of the year. Had numerous games in their concussion impact. I think it was 3. Special mentions also here, and feel free to throw them in, but Britton Nickerath, Nick Meaney, Scott Sorensen, and Zach Hosking. Hosking, again, another one who by the end of the year, numbers didn't read incredibly, but the majority of people got him. Had him for a pretty good run. Spy, most improved.
Oh, they actually all deserve it.
Yeah.
Unbelievable from the boys. There's nothing better in sport than seeing someone just either turn it around or just go to a new level and just enjoying the ride. But, SJ, baby, what he did this year, Supercoach and Real Footy, I watched the first round of the year. I can't remember who they played. He let a real soft try in the first 10 minutes. And I remember...
Lachlan Fitzgibbon.
Was it? And
Straight
I sat there
him.
and I went, I think he probably should have retired. I mean, it was based on 10 minutes footy. I thought, this could be bad. He's going to end up dropped. I could not have envisioned where we are today, going into a Saturday top 4 final. I feel like crying. I'm that happy. So good.
Clem?
Up the wires.
Yeah.
Look, honestly, I agree. Everyone on this list deserves it. Obviously, I love my Warriors, but I'm going to go. There is. And there's a team. How much have they improved? But I'm going to go with Sarko. I just feel like he was just such a top scorer for the year and improving on last year's average of 36. Incredible. So I'm going to Sarko, but I actually have a random special mention, and that's David Fafita. The 2023 version of David Fafita with all that scoring, all those tons, what a massive turnaround from last year.
Yeah. There was no roller coaster about him. He just rolled up the sleeves.
Just boom.
Yeah.
How'd you describe Fafita again?
My shag, my Supercoach shag. We'll take the 2023 version now too. We just don't take the 2022 version because there's no scoring happening. He just stands there and waves his arms around, doesn't get involved in the action.
I've also gone with Jermaine Asako. Didn't own him all year. Right up into the final round of the year, just killed the Stallions again. Talking about being a bit stubborn, probably a bit stubborn against Asako, but he was brilliant. I think the last 2 rounds of the year, I was watching games and he didn't look like he did much. Might have scored a try in each. I think he nearly tonned up in both. I was like, credit to him. He just kept getting it done. Biggest flop of the year in Supercoach circles. Who was the most disappointing in your eyes, Spy?
You know what? I didn't even do this one.
I'll start with Clementine Cassidy then.
Okay, so let me start at the beginning. So I was
How long do we have?
I was fresh-faced, full of hope for the season, and who should I bring straight into my team but Cheese? And once again, he played me. So he is the biggest disappointment of my season by light years. Definitely.
Once again, and didn't.
The worst Supercoach situationship I've ever had in my life, and I'm so proud of myself because I'm not bringing him in next year. She says now and then brings him straight back in.
Did you have him once or twice this year?
I would like to say I had him once.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's true.
You're absolutely starting next season with him.
It would be he'll be my first pick.
Tell us yours. I'm just going to quickly check my early trades because that'll tell me something. But I can tell you something. Cheese, I've got penciled in with Harry. I think he's fit again. He's come good.
Oh, looks like Cheese is coming into the team.
Cheese is back in Clem's side. Cheese is a really good one. I'm going to go with Isaiah Papali'i. Just because he was coming off an 80-point average the 2 years prior, finished with a 56-point average, which is an enormous drop-off. He came from a grand final side in Parramatta the year prior, but just could not get things going. Couldn't get combinations going with his halves all season. He's one that any improvement in the Tigers next year, he's got to be dirt cheap to start next season, so that I won't mind. But IPAP, not one that I owned. I was very close to buying him, and a few things didn't eventuate. But Isaiah Papali'i, Spy, do you want now or do you want us to keep going?
Skip that one. All good.
The Coaches Award, they didn't really fit into any of the criteria here, but some not honourable mentions. Who was the Coaches Award for your team, Spy? Clem?
Me? Well, I actually got this question wrong. I thought we meant Coach of the Year. And so I chose Andrew Webster, coaching the Warriors to their first final since
fair.
2018, top 4 finish. But honestly, it kind of works as well because he's clearly helped us as super coaches because all these players are scoring massive, points. So yeah, Andrew Webster's my coach's choice.
Albeit accidental, that's one of the great calls because you're right. He gifted us players like Sean Johnson, Dallin Watene-Zelezniak, Jackson Ford, Dualescu, Adam Fanua-Blake, Tohu Harris. So
God chance.
Great call. My coaches' awards have gone to Tyrone Peachy and Phoenix Crossland, who I earned great cash off them. I played them at some certain times and they scored well for me. So while they didn't fit in anywhere else, massive part of the Stallion season. Spy, did you come up with anyone?
Yeah, Greggy Marzu, despite missing the bus, ultra consistent, good work rate, finish as well. He was great for me. Brought him in pretty early and just stuck with him till the end. So, big fan of Greggy.
If Kalen Ponga was good to go from round 1 this year and was at fullback,
he was in for you.
He would have been 90 plus. Well, yeah, there's that too. I had him on round 1 draft and then he was injured round 1 and I didn't get him out. But I was just going to say, if KP was there from the get-go, no concussions, Marshall would have been a 90 plus average comfortably.
He's in my starting side as well next year.
And now the big one, our MVP, Supercoach Player of the Year, Spy. Who have you got?
Kalen obviously hard to beat because he's the comp winner. Like if you jumped on him, as we said. But I tell you what, Nico Hines, 95, came out, blasted 180 first game. Hard to split him, isn't it? Hard. I might need a Matty split the difference over here. Supercoach MVP for me. Nico Hines just for averaging 95 and being an absolute weapon, or Kalen Ponga for just changing the game mid-season.
Well, Nico Hines wasn't even your favourite halfback this year. So surely Ponga.
I'm probably taking the piss if I give SJ MVP
No.
Well, considering Hines was so good last year and Ponga was out for the first half of the year, possibly going to retire for the head knocks, I'd probably go with Ponga.
Okay.
Fair.
KP?
Clem?
Okay, so my biggest...
Clem, if you don't start speaking in that microphone so people can hear, I'll tell you what.
My biggest player of the year was Cheese because he played me yet again. But I'm going to...
Never learning.
But I'm going to go Prince Nico Hines, top score of 1,900 points for the season. He only played the 20 games, but he is just so glorious to watch with that glorious wear here. So he gets my player of the year.
He had most points
Most points in 20 games.
So he's gone back-to-back and done that, Nico.
So he deserves it.
It's fair play to him.
I am going with Kalen Ponga again. I keep picking a lot of people have killed me this season, but in 12 games at fullback, he averaged 105 points. He had a low of 47 against Penrith in that period. That was in Penrith. He had 9 scores over 90 and a half in those 12 games with 5 over 120. The biggest thing about KP is most people didn't own him until around it when he started going big and he'd found his feet at fullback, had a few games back. So I can... More people than not would have had him for a 100-plus average. So I reckon it's Kalen Ponga. So we've got Ponga, Hines, Ponga.
I'm actually late drama. I'm going to go back to Hines. He did it all year.
Nico Hines it is. Clem, now we don't have a lot of time because Spies got places to be, people to see, babies' heads to kiss. But you've got a few flyer awards
Hook in, Clem.
for us.
So don't rush.
We do.
A few colourful awards to finish off the award ceremony.
We do. Now, of course, the first one has to be a Hero of the Year award. Definitely. And obviously that's going to go to Nico Hines. Like
the bobblehead up here.
Oh my God, the photo with him here with the hair gel. Like you can literally predict how many extra points he's going to get by how wet his hair is. And he, is wetting it up all the time now, which is great. And we've also got, moist hair when it's sweaty, so that's great too.
That's come into it, hasn't it?
It has, yeah.
In the warmer weather.
It definitely has.
Jeez.
And Timmy, have you sorted out my official hair gelling position yet?
In the process of it. I was actually at Shark Park on Sunday evening and we had some discussions with Shark staff, Nico himself, and it's happening.
Yep, perfect, amazing. I cannot wait. And there's a special mention to DWZ, the Flying Perm. Deserves a hair award. Oh my God, the best perm in the world. Like watching him run down the field with that perm bobbing up behind him is just glorious.
I don't even know that's what it was called, but good to know.
I don't think it's a perm, but it's still stunning.
I'll be telling people with like mad mullets, that's a lovely perm.
What else is on there, Clem?
Okay, we've got eyebrows of the year, and they clearly go to Reece Walsh.
Yeah.
Those are the most perfect identical twins I have ever seen on anybody's face. They are so perfect. I really want the name of his eyebrow waxer because they are gorgeous.
Do you reckon he has an eyebrow waxer?
100%. Those things are like identical
right.
twins. Mine are like distant cousins that are fighting. Like at the moment, like his is so good. Like
If yours are distant cousins that are fighting, what are mine?
yours are beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Love you back next year.
And we have another award, which is the Recruit Your Girlfriends to NRL and Supercoach Award, and that goes to Joey Manu. I was sitting there watching the Dolphins Roosters game with a couple of my girlfriends. We're having a few glasses of wine. Nobody was watching the game but me. And then in the post-match interview, who should pop on screen but Joey M, and oh my God, you should have seen them. Like literally drooling into their wine glasses, eyes locked at the screen. Special support award to the camera person who was doing leg shots and torso shots. And I think the girls are going to play next year. Like,
they're
so in.
And
Joey M.
And they'll captain Joey Manu in round 26 and he'll do his hammy for 20 points and they'll hate him.
Yeah. Or you won't own him and he'll score 400.
Yeah,
and
one or the
they'll
other.
win Supercoach.
One way or another, he will ruin my season. Any others?
We have one more, which
This
is
is my favourite.
a little bit funny. So, or you tell the little story then.
All right. It was last time we did the podcast, sent a little reel out across the socials on the Instagram account. And your call was, Clem, on the video backing Ellie Katoa. This is just as he'd come back. He hadn't done anything magnificent at the time. And you thought he was a great buy. And some absolute legend out there told you to get back to the kitchen.
Yes. So this award is called the Egg on Your Face Award, and it goes to @TJ0077 on Instagram, who told me to stay in the kitchen because of my Katoa trade. Well, hun, the 127 points were mighty delicious. So stay out of my kitchen because it's too hot for you in there.
Boom!
One of the great, Clem. A shocker from the big fella. But look, I said you can start throwing shade when you beat Clement Supercoach, and she has a top finish of 6. So we'll see. Guys, the SC Playbook podcast has partnered with Better this season. Of course, thank you for their support throughout 2023. Last week, our Player of the Week, Daly Cherry Evans, 60-plus official NRL fantasy points into a Tolotau Cola try at $3.60. That landed by about 4 minutes into that game. So happy days there. This week, we've got 2 of 3 players to score tries. Liam Martin, Britton Nickera, and Eliesa Katoa in the finals. Going with the back rowers, no odds yet, but that market will be up on the SC Playbook socials later in the week. What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call 1-800-858-858 or visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. Now, that will wrap it up for the SC Playbook podcast this week. Firstly, a few thank yous, and we will start off with Matty the Waterboy, who comes in each and every week and does this off his own back in his own time just to help myself and the team and SC Playbook. So, Matty, you've done the hard yards for us time and time again.
No worries. I love coming here every Tuesday. Fully welcome.
Hate talking footy.
Oh, mate, so bad.
Next one, of course, the wonderful SC Playbook community for their support throughout the season. All those who subscribed, even the non-subscribers who jumped on, listened to the podcast, read the articles, and just the entire SC Playbook community, so collaborative, so supportive. There's such little malice in them. I say it each and every year, but it's not a cop-out. There's just such little negativity around it. Everyone just wants to help each other out. Twitter's a big one in the Supercoach circles, guys, and just a bunch of legends.
Just a good crew.
Mm-hmm.
Bloody great.
Met some great mates there, and next year might have to do a bit of a catch-up with everyone. Magic round, I dare say.
Oh, you've talked me into it.
There will be more SC Playbook content throughout the finals. The Halfback podcast, of course, will be up of a Thursday. Beers and break-evens continuing throughout the finals. We're going to roast each other's teams in that one, which will be a bit of fun. Of course, our Supercoach finals game for all 9 finals games. Keep an eye out for that across the socials. And then our Big Bash Supercoach content will start from the back end of October. We're also going to expand on our cricketing content this season to be a bit wider than just Big Bash. So looking forward to that. The same excellent team there, including Andrew Langley, who has won back-to-back overall Supercoach titles. Absolutely unheard of. Andrew's joining the team this year, which is super exciting. So we'll be back for that later on. As I said, bits and pieces throughout the finals, but Spy, for now, that's a wrap, mate. Thank you for your year.
Thanks, people. It's been bloody great. Good fun as always. I'm actually so pumped for next year. I kind of wish it was starting this week. Aim for a top 10 finish, which means the girl on my right here will probably be about 3 points in front of me. Maybe winning it. So we'll see how we go.
And Clem, you'll be more of you're Sydney bound for 2024, even before, so you'll be more of a regular fixture next year, which is exciting.
Yeah, which will be exciting. Thank you so much for having me on again, and it's just been another epic season. And yeah, you're right, the Supercoach community is just amazing. So I'm pumped for next year too, ready to beat Spy for the 4th year in a row.
4 on the trot.
No deal.
Right, guys, that does wrap it up for the SC Playbook podcast, NRL version, of course, that is for 2023. So thank you for all the support and enjoy the NRL finals.